All right, we're going to talk about something that might, make you groan a little bit. Math. But seriously, stick with me, because we're going to see how a few simple math ideas can help turn a little fish farm into a big-time business. Let's dive in.
Let's be real for a sec. When you hear the word math, does your brain just kind of check out? Do you get flashbacks to those algebra problems that felt completely pointless? Yeah, I get it. But what if I told you that math is actually a secret weapon?
Because math isn't about worksheets. Not really. It's a tool. It's for predicting the future, making smart moves, and yeah, even making some serious money. It's kind of like the secret code of the universe, and we're about to figure out how to crack it.
And to show you what I mean, let's follow the story of a couple of people who are about to learn this lesson in a big way. It all kicks off with a dream and a pond full of fish. So meet George and Stephanie. They've got this great idea to start a high-tech fish farm. They're going to raise this popular new kind of fish and sell it to fancy restaurants. They put all their savings into it, they build a new pond, and they fill it with 1,000 little fish. I mean, everything's on the line. Now, to make this whole thing work, they have to be able to see into the future, right? Like, how many fish will they have in a year or 2 years? Their whole business plan depends on it. So they start tracking the numbers, and for the first few months, things are looking really, really good. George plots the data on a graph, and he can't believe what he's seeing. The line isn't just going up, it's getting steeper and steeper every single month. To him, more fish means more money, and he starts thinking big. But here's where our story takes a little twist, because as George is about to find out, a little bit of data without the full picture can be a really dangerous thing.
So George is staring at this graph, and a light bulb just goes off in his head. That curve, it looks so familiar. It's just like those compound interest graphs from his high school math class. He thinks he's cracked the code. Their fish are growing exponentially.
He scrambles for his calculator, plugs in the numbers, and whoa, the result is just staggering. In only 20 months, he predicts they're going to have almost 60,000 fish. That's enough to supply pretty much every restaurant in the city. They're going to be millionaires.
But Stephanie, who's always thinking practically, kind of bursts his bubble. She's like, George, where exactly are we going to put 60,000 fish? Our pond isn't an ocean. It's the size of a swimming pool. And just like that, his prediction seems totally impossible. Something is very wrong with his math.
And that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? George used a real math model, but it spit out a completely ridiculous answer. Why? What was the one crucial thing he forgot to consider?
Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. George used the wrong tool for the job. See, a math model is just like a tool in a toolbox. You wouldn't use a hammer to cut a piece of wood, right? To make good predictions, you gotta know which tool to grab. So let's look at the 3 basic shapes of growth.
First up, we've got linear growth. This one is the most straightforward of the bunch. It's just a steady, constant, totally predictable increase. You're just adding the same amount over and over. On a graph, it's a perfectly straight line, just climbing at the same steady pace.
The key thing to remember here is that the speed of growth never changes. So imagine you get exactly 1 new follower on social media every single day. Sure, your total follower count is going up, but the rate you're gaining them is always the same. It's simple, it's predictable.
All right, next up, exponential growth. This is the one that got George so excited. This is the going viral model. It starts out really slow, you barely even notice it, and then bam, it just explodes. The trick here is that the growth rate itself is growing. The bigger it gets, the faster it grows. This is the idea behind compound interest. Your money makes money, and then that money makes even more money. Or think about how a viral video spreads. It's growth without any limits, and the graph is that classic J-curve that looks like it's just shooting off into space.
But, in the real world, things almost always have limits. And that brings us to our 3rd model, logistic growth. This is the story of a boom that eventually hits a ceiling. You get that same exciting, explosive growth at the start, but then it starts to slow down, and eventually it just flattens out as it gets close to a limit. Scientists call that limit the carrying capacity.
Think of it like a new video game that gets super popular at school. At first, news about it spreads like crazy, but after a while, you kind of run out of new people to tell. Everybody who wants it has it. The market is saturated. In this case, the total number of students at the school is that carrying capacity. This creates a really distinct S-curve on the graph.
Okay, so we've got our math toolkit now. Linear, exponential, and logistic.
Let's go back to the fish farm and see if we can figure out which tool is the right one for George and Stephanie's problem.
So they keep collecting data, month after month, for 2 whole years. And when they put all of that new data on a graph, a much clearer picture starts to form. Just look at this. It's definitely not a straight line. And it's for sure not that rocket ship J-curve. Something else is going on here.
And there it is, the aha moment. On the left is their actual data from the farm. On the right is the classic S-curve of a logistic model. It's a perfect match. George's big mistake was thinking their growth was unlimited. He totally forgot about the most important limiting factor of all, the size of the pond. The fish population boomed, yeah, but then it started to hit the pond's carrying capacity.
And this is exactly why picking the right model is so incredibly important. Now that George and Stephanie have the correct logistic model, they can make realistic predictions. They know the maximum number of fish their pond can handle, so they can plan when to harvest, manage their money, and build a business that actually works. Math just saved their dream.
So let's just recap our mathematical toolkit real quick. You've got linear growth, that's your steady and constant straight line. You've got exponential growth, the explosive, unlimited J-curve. And you've got logistic growth, the S-curve that grows fast but then hits a limit. 3 simple models to help make sense of the world.
So, the next time someone tries to tell you math is useless, you'll know better. It's an awesome tool for understanding how things work. And now that you know these 3 basic shapes of growth, here's a challenge for you. Where do you see them in your own life? Your social media followers? Your grades? The spread of a new trend at your school? Once you start looking, I promise you'll start seeing them everywhere.